Alright, before I get into this video, I wanted to share the story of the funniest thing I ever saw at a high school dance. I should make it clear I'm talking about when I was in high school. I don't just go hang out at high school dances. That would be weird. But no, when I was in high school, small Texas town, early 90s, it was in a gym, there were balloons. You've seen it in movies. Anyway, the DJ's doing his thing. It's been going on for a couple of hours now, and then he decides to play One from Metallica. By the way, if you're wondering why a DJ would play One at a high school dance, I don't know. Texas gonna Texas. So the song starts playing, and if you don't know the song, it starts off kind of slow, almost like a ballad. It's got like acoustic guitar playing, plinky plunky, all that, and so some people who don't know the song go out onto the dance floor and begin to slow dance, and I stand off to the side thanking the Lord for this hilarious gift I was about to receive. Because this is a song about a guy in World War I that gets blown up so badly that he can't communicate with the outside world, and he's sort of trapped in his own body in agony, and he's screaming in his own head at the nurse to kill him, to put him out of his misery, but she can't hear him, so he just suffers in silence forever. This does not stay a ballad.
I need help. I'm in terrible trouble and I need help.
So about the second time that James Hetfield screams at the top of his lungs, "Hold my breath as I wish for death," some of the couples started to sort of walk off the floor, and the awkwardness was just, it was delicious. You had to be there. I mean, one guy was actually dancing with his mom, so I mean, dude's scarred for life, clearly. He's probably in therapy session right now. It was awesome. As I just pointed out, dancing can hurt you, so don't do it, ever. Ever. But in the case of the dancing plague, dancing can kill you. The dancing plague took place in 1518 in Strasbourg, France. It was the Holy Roman Empire at the time, and it's exactly what it sounds like. It was a plague of people who started dancing uncontrollably and couldn't stop themselves, and they did it until they died. Apparently it all began with this one woman. Her name was Frau Troffea, and she went out into the street one day and just started dancing. And of course, at first everybody thought it was a fun thing, somebody was just having fun, but then she kept doing it all day and all night and didn't seem to be enjoying it. This went on for 6 days, and by the end of those 6 days, other people had started to join her. 30 of them, in fact. Apparently they were completely unable to keep themselves from dancing, and according to all accounts, this wasn't like convulsions or something. They weren't using the word dancing euphemistically. They were literally flailing their arms about rhythmically as if they were dancing. And it was spreading so fast that it actually got the attention of the nobility in the area, who normally never pay any attention at all to the peasant class, but they started to get concerned about it, and they brought in some doctors to try to figure out what was going on. Of course, medicine back in those days was ridiculous. They believed in the four humors. They believed that all the different illnesses were caused by different imbalances of these four humors in your body. And so they looked at these people and determined that they had, quote, hot blood. And the way to get their humors back in balance was, wait for it, more dancing. Their cure for dancing was more dancing. So when the word got out that dancing was the cure for the disease, a lot of people who didn't have the disease started dancing right along with people who did have the disease so that it would keep them from getting the disease. They were dancing to keep themselves from dancing. And the town got behind this so much that the local leaders actually put up a stage and hired musicians and professional dancers to come along and motivate these people to continue dancing. Next thing you know, there's over 400 people dancing uncontrollably for days on end until they collapse from exhaustion. This goes on for 2 months, and many people died. And nobody has really figured out exactly why this happened. We do know that it happened. It was very much recorded in the local church records, in the physician's notes, and even the city council kept notes on all this. What we don't know for sure is how this happened, and it really comes down to a couple of different options. One is that something physical was actually going on, and the other was that it's all psychological. Now, in terms of it being a physical thing, one possibility is that there are actually some parasites out there that have the ability to control the behavior of their host. Toxoplasmodium is a bacteria that's often found in cat poop that has been shown to alter the behavior of people that are infected by it. There is a type of spore in the Amazon rainforest that falls from the trees above, and if it lands on the back of an ant, it can actually go into the ant, take over its mind, force the ant to go up high in the tree, where it will then grow inside of the ant and sprout out the top of its head, and then rain down on other ants. There's also a parasitic worm that can get into caterpillars and go up and take over their brains and get them to go up on top of branches and start like flashing signals through the skin of this caterpillar so the birds would then eat them and continue to spread these worms around. Nature is crazy. And there are also wasps that have the ability to zombify their victims because they're wasps and wasps are evil, so of course they are doing that. So could it be that there's some unknown parasite out there that got into the bodies of these people and forced them to dance until they couldn't do it anymore? Now, many people thought that this might be ergot. Ergot is a type of fungus that grows on rye, and it's been blamed for a lot of things throughout history, including werewolves and the Salem witch trials. Ergot is a hallucinogenic, and there's a component of it that's actually an active component of LSD. But most people who study this have come to the conclusion that it is a totally psychological phenomenon, which makes it 1,000 times more interesting to me. Humans are incredibly suggestible. We're incredibly social animals. We take cues from other people. We kind of identify and define ourselves through the eyes of the people around us. So it's very easy to get swept up in things. There's this video where they pulled a prank on somebody where she goes into this waiting room for a doctor's office, it doesn't matter what, but she's sitting in a waiting room and all the other people in the room, whenever a buzzer sounds, whenever this bell goes off, they all stand up. And at first she's like, what's going on? She doesn't understand. She just sits there. And then after a while, she starts to do it along with them. She has no idea why she's doing this, but she just does it because that's what everybody else is doing. And again, humans are suggestible. We've seen people in rallies, especially religious events, get swept up in religious fervor and do all kinds of crazy stuff. This is not an unusual phenomenon, really. There are videos of people going out into a street or at concerts just dancing all by themselves, and next thing you know, a bunch of people come in and join them, and it becomes a whole party. In fact, I challenge you, do this. Go to some public place and just start dancing. I will guarantee you somebody will come up and join you, even if that person is a cop and you're getting arrested. But my point stands. Now, there are some other factors that tie into this. One is that there was a saint at that time that many people followed. His name was Saint Vitus, and he apparently had the ability to put a curse on people to cause them to dance, which is an extremely specific thing for a priest to be able to do. But many people saw the dancing people in the town square and assumed it was the curse of Saint Vitus. And of course, once they sort of accepted this spiritual paranormal thing, then it's not too far of a stretch to think that it could get to them. So when they started dancing around, they assumed that the curse has afflicted them as well. Another factor to keep in mind is that that area at that particular time was going through a famine. There was a lot of stress. There was a lot of starvation going on at the time. And researchers like James Waller have coined the term mass psychogenic illness, which is sort of a mass hysteria that's brought about by times of extreme stress. As it turns out, there were several smaller cases of dancing plagues that popped up in Europe during that time. And there's a couple of them that popped up in Africa in the 1800s, including a laughing plague where some people literally laughed themselves to death. Now, there are some people that hear about this and they think that the whole mass hysteria thing is hard to swallow. We like to think that we're individualistic, that we're masters of our own destinies. But we are incredibly just intrinsically social animals. It's so ingrained in us that one of the worst punishments that we can give somebody is solitary confinement. Simply removing them from other people is considered a cruel and unusual punishment. And I think because it's so fundamental, our social brain is a lot deeper, it's more limbic, it's more emotional, it's not the higher level prefrontal cortex logical parts of our brain that control that. Which is why, as Tommy Lee Jones says in Men in Black, a person is smart, people are dumb, panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. Mass hysteria is definitely a thing. And the forces behind that have been shaping our species for as long as we've been a species. What examples can you see of that in the world today? Discuss that down in the comments. This should be interesting. All right, thanks a lot for watching. If this is your first time here, check out this video. Google thinks you'll like that, or check out any of my other videos, and if you like them, maybe subscribe, because I do videos like this on random topics on Thursdays, more science and futurism type topics on Mondays. Check out the store at answerswithjoe.com/shirts for cool and nerdy, geeky fun shirts, and you can buy them and look cool. It supports the channel, supports the designer over in Prague. It's all good. All right, thank you guys again for watching. Go out now, have an eye-opening rest of the week, and I'll see you on Monday. Love you guys. Take care.